the influx of foreigners into the retail space is causing that problem because the entirety of import that we do, only about 20% represent the import of the indigens. The bulk of about 80% come from these foreigners, especially the Chinese and all that. So we can use the investment laws to contain the excessive importation that we do.
The depreciation of the local currency is a significant concern for both the business community and individuals as the prices of goods and services keep skyrocketing. The depreciation of the Cedi is also a contribution to the high inflation rate recorded in the country. Today on BizTech, my guest is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, who is going to tell us the impact of the Cedi depreciation on their businesses. You're welcome on the show.
Thank you so much.
So we've always been hearing Cedi depreciation. Give us more insights into Cedi depreciation.
Okay, so for us, the importing community, that's the trading community, even with the trading community, not all of us deal in the forest. For those of us in importing business, it simply means loss of capital. Simple. You recall that last quarter of 2022, we suffered similar depreciation. That was even higher than what we are experiencing today. And we lost more than 50% of our capital. Our capitals were depleted over 50%. And now, as we are also experiencing from January to date, we are also suffering about 23 to 25% depletion of our capital. So that is what it simply means.
Okay.
And then it also and the forex, especially the US dollar, is what we use to do all our trade. You know, China does not use US dollar in their country, but then the dollar is the benchmark for international trading, and so we use it to trade with them. So the cost of items are purchased, our transactional values and all that are made in the USD, and then the shipping line charges. Also, we have to also pay in the dollar.
Dollars, yes.
And as I'm speaking, the shipping line charges have gone up the roof, like it was in the COVID era. Now the freight charges that used to be, that's 40 footer, that used to be about 2,500 USD dollars, is now $10,000.
Wow.
And then when the goods also come home, you also have to pay. The duty is calculated using the dollar as a benchmark. It means that when the exchange rate goes up, the Cedi is so depreciated as we are experiencing. Means that cost of doing business goes extremely high. And that's what we are experiencing now.
Right. So what are the main factors that contributes to the persistent depreciation of the Cedi?
Yeah. Our problem have become very structural. Maybe the economists will speak to this issue more than probably a trader that I am. But to tell the truth, our economy is so much dominated by foreigners. So we do not own this economy. That's the true fact about it. So you recall that we have balance of trade surplus for the past 5 years. If that is so, then our Cedi should be strengthened. It means that our exports is more than that of import. So why are we suffering this? What it means is that because those exports that we are making, the oil, the gold, the bauxite, the manganese, and what have you, with the exception of probably cocoa, that we have the cocoa syndication coming in because we manage it ourselves. All the rest, when we export it, the forest that does not return home because it doesn't belong to us. Because the oil belongs to the Americans and all that, and when the money goes, it doesn't come back. So it means that we do not have the full supply of the forest. And then when it comes to consumption also, still we are suffering the same fate. The fact that the juiciest part of our economy is being dominated by the foreigners. That's the communication industries and the banking. All these areas are all being dominated by foreigners, and then trading also, because we are giving a window of opportunity for foreigners to trade.
Yeah.
And if you look at the China Mall, Chinatown, and all that, the kind of sales that they do not bring any correspondent capital into the system, and they all depend on this dollar.
Yes.
And so these are some of the factors. And then you see that's why every end of year, when the foreigners have to repatriate their profits, you know, they have 100% right of repatriation.
Yes.
And then they will repatriate it. And that's why the depreciation have become perennial. Every end of the year, we suffer this. And so we have to probably get what is called a retention policy, where some of these resources can be retained. It's as a matter of policy, if you're able to do it, that you cannot repatriate all you get, because you got all the resources here, you get all the profits here. So it's also important that you retain some here for further for expansion of your own business. It's not for anybody, but for yourself. But then the money will be retained and then help the economy of Ghana. Then the cross-border trading of money is also part of this problem, because when the dollar was 12.8, I know I issued a report in your own network that we shouldn't allow the forest crisis in Nigeria trickle down to Ghana or affect Ghana. We gave a caution, because when the dollar was at 12.8, Nigeria had a serious crisis. They found a difficult way to even get the dollar to buy. And they bought most of it from the neighboring countries, especially Ghana. Because our banks are networked that they can just put the money there, come here and take. And I've been saying this all the time. So these are the, but what is fueling the crisis now is speculation. Because now everybody is buying the dollar as a store of value. Because people who do not necessarily even trade in dollar are buying it as a form of investment, because now the Cedi has so depreciated, and then the value is so low to the extent that your only hope is to store, to save the value of your money in the US dollar. And some traders, even if because of speculative nature of the currency, those who do not even have the need for the dollar now, maybe they would travel in the future, maybe in September, November, and all that, are buying it for keep now. And so what government have to do is to inspire confidence into the system again, when people know that, okay, now by the interventions of the government, we are going to inject some amount into the system and all that. All those people who have bought the dollar for keep will bring them, and then it was about. We've seen that when the finance minister came out, and then the Bank of Ghana also came out with some interventions. You see that the pressure is going down small. Yes. And if they keep on inspiring confidence into the system, it means that a lot more people will bring the forest that is being hidden, and then we can be able to stabilize the local currency.
So from what you are saying, it means that it was a step in the right direction for the Bank of Ghana to ask the foreign exchange companies not to advertise their prices, because it looks like most of them have stopped writing them on the boards if you go to the forex.
Yeah, that's one measure. But Bank of Ghana have a lot to do by its regulations. I've said over and over that most traders do not have confidence. The fear factor of trading with the mainstream banks make almost all of us trade with the black market or the forex bureaus. Let's put it that way. The forex bureaus are legitimate. The black market is illegitimate.
Yes.
So most of us do not trade in with the mainstream banks because of documentation requirements by the Bank of Ghana. So through its own regulations, they can divert a lot more people from trading with the so-called black market into the mainstream. So they should relax some of their requirements so that the fear factor will go. Because Bank of Ghana itself do not know the amount of the quantum that we trade in the forest. Because how are they going to get? Because most of this trade in the forest bureaus and the black market, even the mainstream big establishments, even the banks itself. Haven't you heard that sometimes the bank fall on the black market to get the forest and all that? How are we going to do so that they do not command such power to determine the rate of the currency of the forest? It's not fair at all. So it's through regulations. Bank of Ghana will be able to stop this. We build systems, and systems. It's not the machoism that you send some task force to go and then. But if you use the web systems through the institutions and all the regulations and all that, it will stop some of these things.
Okay. So do you think that government's monetary and fiscal policies can help with the stabilization of the currency?
Definitely. That's what governments are made to do, to inspire confidence into the system, to bring the necessary interventions and all that, to make injection in funds. If we have it, if we say we have it, then it should manifest. And then with the Bank of Ghana, at this stage, that we have scarce resources, Bank of Ghana should come up with some rations. They should ration some of these forests. Otherwise, the scanty or the limited resource that we are seeking when it comes is going to be consumed by the bigger companies, and then the effect will still be nil. So at this stage, we should find ways that we can stagger some of the payment for the bigger companies, and then also find a way to ration the forest so that it can serve the greater number of people. Then it will bring confidence into the banking system. But if we leave it the way it is, and then maybe we inject some amount of money and one company can consume it, then the end result will be nil. So we have to monitor the little money that is being thrown to the banks, and then make sure that we use regulations and rationings and all that, so that we can ration and for everybody to have it with. When we do that, then people will start having confidence, and when you go to the bank, at least you can have, if there are thresholds that is be established for people to have for their transfers, then gradually the confidence will come until things get properly established. Then we can do away with the rationing.
Okay. So we are going on a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve more into the depreciation of the local currency and how the purchasing power has also been affected. Welcome back from that break. My guest is the president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, and now we are going to talk about how the weakening Cedi has affected consumer purchasing power. So how has the weakening Cedi affected the consumer purchasing power and behavior?
Yeah, of course, the exchange rate, the foreign exchange is a major component of our costing. And that I've told you that all throughout the journey of our import, the dollar is very significant. So if it goes up, it means that it affects the pricing. Even in the calculation of the duty is benchmarked with the dollar. So it will make cost of doing business go up and thereby affecting the purchasing power of the consumer. You know, the inflation that we are experiencing here is the cost push one, the accumulation of various costs, the taxes and all that we have to contend with lead to inflation, and that it also affect the purchasing power of the consuming public. And then I've also said so many times that the business that we do not do it in isolation. We do it with the consumers. So sometimes it becomes difficult even to keep on passing on the cost to them, because when they are unable to buy from us, because if their purchasing power is affected, it means that the volumes that they otherwise were buying are reduced.
Yes.
And then it also affects our turnover. Businesses thrives on turnover. So if you are unable to turn over much as we used to do, then we are also unable to service our debt at the bank and also service our credit that we have sourced from our suppliers. And so this thing do not only affect the consumer, but also go a long way to also affect the importer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now everyone is shouting, hey, the prices of goods have become very expensive. Tomatoes, like you name it, you know. What can we do for Ghanaians to also heave a sigh of relief? Because one, you go to the market and you are buying tomatoes and they're giving you 3 for 10 cedis, which is unrealistic.
Yeah, so you see, sometimes people think that when we talk about depreciation of the cedi or the forest rates going up, it affects only imported goods. But you see, it also trickles down to the farmers and then the agriculture sector very much, because these days we do not depend on the hoes and cutlasses only. Most of the items, the input of farming is imported. The weedicides, the pesticides, the machines that they use to spray and all that, these are all imported. And so when there's imported inflation, it also trickles down on the domestic this thing. That's why the food basket, the inflation, the statistics, what they use, the food basket for inflation is always going up, because the imported inflation affects that of the domestic inflation. Yeah.
So one will be asking, we know government has plans, but what can they do to stabilize the cedi?
So let me finish with the first point. So, like I was saying, this cost of doing business does not only affect the trading community, and that it also affects farmers, and it also affects manufacturers, because the local manufacturers too, their input of manufacturing, about over 90% is imported. So it means that all aspects of the economy has been affected, and then it impedes on productivity, and then it doesn't make it also competitive even across the sub-region. And so the earlier that we solve this problem, the better. And we were talking about solution.
Yes.
How do we?
Okay, before we talk about the solution, so does it mean that now we have to be growing and eating whatever we produce locally, like AGI is advocating?
It's very important that we become self-sufficient. That is one major cause of this problem, that we depend so much on import. But you see, over-dependent on import also, we know where the problem is, and we've articulated it to the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority or Council, that the influx of foreigners into the retail space is causing that problem, because the entirety of imports that we do, only about 20% represent the import of the indigents. The bulk of about 80% come from these foreigners, especially the Chinese and all that. So we can use the investment laws to contain the excessive importation that we do. And then also trying to do import substitution. That's what we were talking about, that we should be self-sufficient and all that. We have to do it, but we have to do it right. So when we say that we have to be self-sufficient, it doesn't mean that we can be self-sufficient in everything that is produced in the world. So we look at the areas that we have the comparative advantage and then make conscious effort to make those areas work. And we support them, subsidize them and all that. Then we become a hub of manufacturing of those identified areas. And that we support, that we are able to do that. That's the only surest way to go. So yes, we have to be self-sufficient, but then we have to also identify the areas that we can we can make it work. Otherwise, it is not possible that we can also produce everything in the world. It doesn't happen in any country.
Okay. So finally, what solutions are you going to prefer to government to solve this weakening Cedi depreciation problem?
Yeah. So I said it somewhere along the line that government should bring interventions that will inspire confidence into the system. All that we need is the confidence so that people might not buy rush, and then it will bring down the speculation. At this moment, this is all that we need. So if government is able to do that, and then the Bank of Ghana should also use regulations and all that to make sure that the over-dependency on the black market, as we say, also goes down. And then it's a system that have to do this. Then we have to check the cross-border trading of money. At this stage, more of our resources is going out of the shores of Ghana to service other nations, and it doesn't help us. Aside of the fact that we should also make sure that we have retention policies in place where over the dominance of the foreigners in the juiciest areas of our economy will not be felt so much. So at least if the retention policy is there, we should be able to retain all the forests that we get, about 30-40%. Then of course it will go a long way to help the economy.
All right, thank you very much.
Stabilize the local currency.
Has there been an amicable solution to the Ghana-Nigeria trade war in quotes?
Oh yeah, we've done our best, and then we have the joint task force consisting of Nigeria itself and Ghana, and there were some dispensations that were given to our brothers in the sub-region. Now our major concern is with the Chinese, and that's where my attention is drawing to. They are taking it all from us. The China Mall, Chinatown is taking about 40% of our market share. I mean, it's very embarrassing because everybody knows that we go to China to buy goods. And so the psychology here is that when we have China Mall, we have Chinatown, then why do they come to the locals to buy? And they all go to these areas to buy their goods. And that's the major cause of our forest crisis, because they don't bring correspondent fund even to deposit in Ghana. So they don't bring in the forest, but they bring in the goods and then depend on the forest. And so these are all, if you do not stand up to fight these things, these are the reasons that we are suffering, the fate that we are suffering now.
So what will you say the claims that you are being vindicative against Nigerian traders in Ghana, as Ghanaian traders in Ghana are not subjected to the same treatment?
Oh, no, we are being very fair with our brothers from the sub-region, not only Nigeria. It's only that most of the activities that were going on were not illegal. Even there were abuse of even the ECOWAS protocol itself, which dwells on the rules of origin. The ECOWAS protocol is saying that we should trade among ourselves, But trading among ourselves means that we have to trade in the goods that are manufactured in our own respective countries. So it doesn't tell us to bring goods from China, from elsewhere to come and trade. So there is abuse of the protocol itself, which should not be allowed. But we have even allowed them so much. And so it's not that we are worrying. If we have to go strictly by the law, they don't qualify to do this kind of trading that they are doing here.
All right. So thank you very much. We are grateful we had you on today's edition of BizTech on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Ernestina Sewa Asante, and my guest was Dr. Joseph Obeng, the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association.